Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, March 26, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Analysis is being conducted into the circumstances surrounding the deaths of 10 patients at the mental health institution at Orange Hill since its relocation there in October last year. That's according to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Simone Kieser-Beach, who told SVG-TV News she understands some of the deceased may not have been in the best of health. However, they are in the process of determining if any of these deaths may require further analysis. Dr. Kieser-Beach said the Ministry of Health is always vigilant and those deaths that require more in-depth analysis will be looked into. CEO of the Tourism Authority, Glenn Beach, says those who criticize the functioning of his unit and the tourism industry need to do more research. At a media conference yesterday, Beach pointed out that the issue of subsidizing airlines interested in coming to the soon-to-be-completed Argyle International Airport is nothing new. He said though airlines are genuinely excited about this country as a new destination for travel, the lack of familiarity to international travelers warrants it as a risk for making a financial profit. Beach said as a result, the government is in negotiations with airlines about the percentage at which they will subsidize the flights.
Airlines do not owe St. Vincent and the Grenadines anything, just like cruise lines don't owe us anything. They are not coming in here unless they can make a profit. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has no records of international travel because we've never had an international airport. So therefore it is a risk coming into St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a risk that the airlines will not take solely and wholly. Of course we're going to have to subsidize them. Part of the negotiations is how do we subsidize them? How much of it is revenue guarantee? How much of it is market support? And when I say revenue guarantee, I'm talking about guaranteed seats. So if their load factor, our negotiations basically going to say, if you come in with less than 70% load factor, do we take up the remainder of the seats? Which is how it's done with some. Or do we get to 80%, do we get to 90%?
Beach pointed out that this country is also looking into chartered flights.
I will continue to keep you informed in terms of where our negotiations are. We're basically at the table with all the airlines, trying to get that contract signed, and as soon as we do, we will let you know. Just to let you know also though that airline coming out of Panama, the chartered way, is probably a way that we'll probably have to take a more serious look at in terms of the chartering of airlines to come in. And I think you will see a lot more tour operators doing that sort of thing where they can charter an airline and then sell it individually to come into St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The importance of sustaining a robust partnership between the public and private sectors to ensure economic growth was highlighted today at the Business Luncheon. The event was organized by the Chamber of Industry and Commerce in collaboration with the Inland Revenue Department at the Blue Lagoon in Rathamale. Controller of the Inland Revenue Department, Kelvin Pompey, says as they continue to celebrate Tax Collection and Awareness Month, he is pleased to meet with the business owners and representatives to discuss a series of tax matters. Pompey stressed that the development of the economy of SVG is heavily dependent on a sustained partnership between both the private and public sectors.
We must recognize the critical role that each entity performs, and our actions and visions must be united and focused in the same direction. I take this opportunity to commend the Chamber on its achievement in promoting and advocating for the development of the private sector in this country over the years. Indeed, a vibrant and productive Chamber of Industry and Commerce is critical to the growth, development, and expansion of our private sector, and by extension, our small island state. The Inland Revenue Department is therefore pleased with this opportunity, as I said, to meet with you and partner with your fellow stakeholders in the developmental process. We believe that the timing of this event is appropriately placed during the month of March as we continue to celebrate our Tax Awareness Month of activities under the theme Tax Compliance, a shared responsibility to build a sustainable economy.
Meanwhile, the Inland Revenue Department Controller says the past 7 years have been undoubtedly challenging and traumatic for most businesses, evident by slow growth and no or low profits and business failures and closures. However, Pompey says while these activities can be blamed on the global financial and economic meltdown, closer examinations have also revealed that in many instances, the external factors have simply highlighted pre-existing structural and operational weaknesses and deficiencies in several of the local affected businesses.
I wish to highlight some of these at this juncture. 1. Many locally owned businesses are undercapitalized and pay insufficient attention to liquidity and cash flow issues. My friends, cash is king and the lifeblood of any business. 2. In this harsh and highly competitive business environment, the owner, shareholder, director, whatever the terminology that we use, is not necessarily the person best suited to manage the operations of the business and to be the proverbial chief cook and bottle washer. 3. There needs to be a clearer distinction between the investment function and management function of businesses. 4. Insufficient attention is given to management information in the decision-making process. The tracking of sales patterns, customer preferences, peak periods, change in customer taste, etc., must be done to allow for optimum utilization of resources.
Persons here are being advised to be cautious of individuals who seek to form online relationships. The advice comes from Operations Officer at the National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, Keisha Gurley. Gurley warns that there are a number of persons who seek to prey on vulnerable individuals while using fake profiles on some of the social networking sites.
It is indeed true that positive and meaningful relationships can be formed on social media. However, there are imposters who falsify their personal information so that it can be passed off as someone else. Imposters are not people that someone should be associating themselves with. To form relationships on social media is very risky, and therefore careful scrutiny and personal judgment must be required at all times before getting involved in relationships of this kind.
The NTRC Operations Officer is also appealing to persons to keep their private lives private, adding that lately the internet has become a hotspot for criminals who will use the information that they find on these social media sites to torment or exploit their victims.
Social media indeed gives some individual a false sense of security in that persons post private content online, not considering that their information may be accessible to many users unknown to them. We need to be cautious about how much information you post online. The more information you make available online makes it easier for someone else or even a hacker to use that information to stalk you, steal your identity, and commit other cybercrimes. It is more difficult to solve some of these cybercrimes given that they can be committed by someone in any part of the world who has internet access. Hence, we advise that you keep your personal information personal and not on social media. Secondly, most social media platforms have security and privacy settings that can help you control who sees your posts and who can contact you, etc. We advise you take some time to review these settings to determine how secure your online activity is.
Water and sustainable development is the theme under which this country and the rest of the world celebrated the United Nations World Water Day on Sunday, the 22nd March. But the Central Water and Sewerage Authority, CWSA, has gone a step further by celebrating the day with a week of activities. Public Relations and Marketing Manager Joan Ryan said they have conducted awareness programs in the media and have visited several communities.
We have a full week of things to accomplish. We started on Sunday the 22nd, which incidentally is World Water Day, and on that day we had addresses from our Minister of Health and the Environment and also the Chairman of our Board of Directors. So those addresses were aired on radio and on television on Sunday, and on Monday the staff of the Central Water and Sewerage Authority gathered right here at our technical office complex for a church service to basically officially and in a spiritual way kick off the activities of the week. We had Reverend Adolph Davis from the Methodist Church coming in, and he delivered a stirring address to our staff. Everybody commented that they really enjoyed it. It was really good.
Ryan said these visits to the various communities give the staff at the CWSA an opportunity to be more interactive with their customers.
So we get members of staff to go to schools, to go into communities when we would be doing our community outreach in Warvaroo. We have other members of staff, not just the Public Relations and Marketing Department, who would be assisting us in that task, as we had members of staff assisting us in our primary schools outreach program this Tuesday morning. So we really try to get staff members more involved in community outreach type kind of efforts, and those we find are very successful.
The Democratic Republican Party, DRP, today honored the oldest former female parliamentarian, Yvonne Frances Gibson, on her 84th birthday. The members of the newly formed political party presented Frances Gibson with a plaque in recognition of her service to the constituency of West St. George and in Parliament. They also gave her a bouquet of flowers and a cake and sang her happy birthday. Leader of the DRP, Anicia Batiste, said the appreciation to the former parliamentarian also coincides with Heritage Month, in which persons are remembered for their contribution to the development of the country. Batiste said it is important to appreciate those who have made an input in nation building, and Frances Gibson is no exception. She noted that Frances Gibson served from 1989 to 1998 in several ministries such as health, education, sports, culture, and women's affairs, and that her party wanted to give her kudos before she is just a memory. Meanwhile, Gibson Frances expressed appreciation for the recognition and said she always loved giving back without looking for rewards.
I appreciate the work that you have done, and I wanted to go unnoticed and forgotten. And I appreciate also the fact that as a young woman in politics, I have the privilege to have you in existence still as our eldest living former woman parliamentarian in the country. And I don't want to wait until you're gone to say, oh, I remember, and let's remember. So this is from our party, right, the DRP. We love you very much. We thank you for being daring and bold to go before us and to be an example in your legacy towards us as young women in politics and other women who stand up in the different spheres and fields of society to serve our fellow men. So we love you, thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yes. The fact that you are able to come and say thank you for having done so. Though I feel that I don't need the thanks. I shouldn't have the thanks, but I got to give it. And I want to thank you. So that
Batiste is hoping to contest the West St. George seat in the upcoming general elections.